It's 1998. It's Christmas Day. I'm eating Chinese food and watching TV. I turn on Channel 22, TBS. They are playing a 24-hour marathon of A Christmas Story. I change the channel to 36, USA. They are playing a 24-hour marathon of Scrooged. I change the channel to 61, Comedy Central. They are playing a 24-hour marathon of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This is truly the happiest day of my life. On today's episode of I Need to See That, our premiere episode, we talk about holiday movies. Welcome to I Need to See That. I'm Eli.
I'm Caroline.
I'm Ethan.
Oh, that was smooth. That was smooth as butter. For the listeners at home, that was our first take, and this is our first podcast. Welcome. This is a podcast about movies. We're here. Ethan, Caroline, we did it. It's our first podcast. For a little background to the listeners at home, Caroline, Ethan, and I have been friends for over a decade now. We met doing improv in Chicago, and we've been talking about movies since day one. And we've put on live shows about movies. We've hosted screenings all over Chicago. And we've avoided doing a podcast for at least 10 years. And yet, here we are. So, Caroline and Ethan, let's kick off our entire show with this question. Why?
We're here because Eli texted us to get out of the group chat and put it on a microphone. And we're excited to talk about movies.
All right, yeah. So you're going to call me out for being the guy. And it's funny because if you know me, I'm the guy who's like, no, I don't want to do that. But, look, I'm not an anxious person. But we're recording this at the end of 2023. And if you don't have at least a little anxiety, then maybe you're the problem. I have a lot of anxiety right now. And honestly, the thing that's getting me through it are my daily texts with Ethan and Caroline, where Caroline goes, "Oh, I just saw the movie Under the Skin, and I want to talk about it." And it got to the point where I got so excited about this, I said, you know what? Let's talk about this in person, and maybe other people will take as much pleasure in our conversations as I do. I feel like I just high-roaded you. You put me on the spot, and I was like, you know what? Here's something passionate. I'm going to give you some passion and a serious answer.
Well, I have two goals. One goal is to get more followers on Letterboxd, which I think is a really important thing for me
That's
in
my goal as well.
2024.
Yeah.
Cool. Glad we share that. I also think that it's a bit embarrassing sometimes to care about award shows. And yet I do. And I know that Caroline and Eli do as well. So we can just sort of be in our little embarrassing corner, caring about who wins Oscars and Golden Globes and debating those things here. And I don't have to be embarrassed in front of normal people. I can know that this is a safe space for me to unleash opinions that certainly don't have any consequence upon the world right here.
Agreed. And I feel like I moved to LA in the last few months, and I've been
Eli, did you have 4 minutes for her to drop LA? I can't. Did I win the bet or did you?
Frankly, I had 30 seconds, so you won. You won.
Well,
okay.
Very good.
Well, glad to know
for the listener at home, Caroline lives in LA, Ethan lives in Tennessee, I live in Milwaukee. So we can all agree I won. But Caroline, tell us more about LA and, I don't know, eating kale and seeing screenings months before us.
Yeah, so I guess I've been getting back into seeing movies a lot more, and Eli and Ethan are two of the people who are actually excited to hear me talk about this versus maybe, I don't know, most people in my life or don't care to hear about me talk about Iron Claw. And I am excited to have two other people I can talk about movies with because I love movies. Going back to the movies, I've been really invigorated by that and like actually going to movie theaters and remembering how much I love movie theater culture. And I'm excited to have a place to talk about it.
There are some incredible movie podcasts out there. I'm just going to name a couple right now. Film Spotting, The Big Picture. My favorite podcast is Blank Check with Griffin and David.
Hmm.
I'm going to guess anyone listening to this listens to those three podcasts at least. We're going to try to do something similar to them, but really, I want this to be an interactive conversation. So you're going to hear us talk about, go to our website, email us at I need to see that pod at gmail.com. I'm going to say that 8 times in this podcast because I mean it. I would love people to see a movie and then ping us their opinion, and we promise we will talk about it on this show. So I'm trying to build a community here, and I am not on Letterboxd, and I refuse to do social media. We did a show in Chicago recently, and we flew Caroline out for it, and it was a big surprise. And afterwards, Caroline's like, "I tagged you on Instagram," and I said, "I don't have an Instagram," and she's like, "No, you do. I tagged you."
Eli, you
So
do.
then I found my account and I logged in, and I had like over 50 messages from over the years of people being like, "Hey, Eli, I'm gonna be in Chicago. Do you want to meet up?" And like, there was a wedding invite in there that I didn't know about.
Eli.
So I don't social media everybody. So instead of joining Letterboxd, I decided to uh, get my friends to do a podcast where we are gonna create our own
We're
Letterboxd.
bringing Letterbox to
It's,
you,
yeah, to the suburbs.
to the
Thank you.
suburbs of Milwaukee.
Thank you, everybody. Well, we have a stacked show today. Later on, we will be discussing our favorite holiday movies, and we will be introducing a new segment called Ethan's Reluctant Review, where we force Ethan to watch and review a movie he'd never want to watch on his own. And oh boy, we have a doozy for him this week. We're also going to tell you about a contest. You can enter to win a digital download of Oppenheimer, or really any movie. We're going to send you a gift card. Spoiler alert. But first, let's get into this week in movies. So, Caroline, Ethan, what have you seen this week? What movie news do you want to discuss? Is there anything I need to see? Let's start with Ethan.
Yeah, I saw Maestro yesterday,
Ugh.
and I believe you'd both already seen it, but I can't tell if people have this like tepid reaction because Tar came out last year, so they're already like, we've already seen a movie about a conductor, or Bradley Cooper's general vibe is a bit much, so we don't want to give him too much credit for anything. But I think it might be a masterpiece.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
amazing, and he is so good, and Carey Mulligan is so good, and it's the, some of the best. It's one of the best looking movies I've ever seen. The orchestra scene deserves every mention of it. It was just edge of your seat, remarkable. The music the whole way through. I just, you know, I don't know. Is Bradley Cooper one of our best directors 2 movies
Yes.
in?
Yes. I agree. Okay, so Ethan and I happened to be at the same Star Wars Born screening in 2018, opening night, and the 30 minutes of The Star is Born are still maybe some of the best 30 minutes of film I have ever seen. Paced incredibly well, edge of your seat. You hear that drum beat behind all of it. In Maestro, I was so nervous. I was like, how can he do that again? And he did. He really did. It
In a
was,
totally different
yeah.
way. Like, yes, it's a music film, but in just such a completely unique way. Just sign me up for Bradley Cooper's next whatever.
Yeah.
There's that scene where he plays bongos on his lover's butt, and there's an overhead tracking shot of him
Through the
running
theater.
through the theater. And I remember I watched it in theaters, luckily, and I saw the movie, and I just went, he's so good. He is such a good director. His voice he's doing is unbelievably hilarious. Like
Yeah.
it's very accurate, it's perfect, but take a step back, the voice he's doing is so funny, and I want people to redo that voice for the rest of eternity.
Oh, yeah.
So I
That
listened to a
nasally Ethan, can you do the voice?
well. I'm
Perfect,
gonna
you did
try
it.
a funny Eli. I listened to a podcast where he talked to another director, and apparently he has to direct in character which is insane
Oh
that
my
he
God.
is like, able to go from being in those scenes, and then he's like giving direction to Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter. Say, oh, just a little bit more. Like, it's just a very funny idea, but he had to accomplish it in that way,
Now I'm thinking about him directing as Jackson Maine after he pissed
and
himself
he
on
said he
stage at
did.
the Grammys. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did.
It's like, okay, now I'm gonna pee
Oh
myself.
yeah. Oh my God. I injustice for my girl Carrie Mulligan. I'm sorry. She was unreal. Like, and to also
Yeah.
hear him talk about how he directed it from her, the whole movie's from her perspective. He loves the dolls, he loves the girls, and I love because he did that for A Star Is Born as well. So I can't wait to see what project he does next. Like, because now we've got two incredible films. I'm excited to see what his third is. Maybe it's Hangover 4.
If we give him an Oscar, he might give us Hangover 4. And if we don't give him an Oscar, he's gonna make, I don't know. I don't really want to know. I want
Yeah,
Hangover 4.
Hangover 4
Do
might be
you think
great.
he's where do you think he is on the in the front runners of Oscar Best Actor? I still think I still think Killian Murphy is sitting there number one. But where do you think? Where do you think he lies?
I think that we're going to probably talk a lot about it, but the
Yeah.
Oscars are going to be a pretty dominated Oppenheimer night. But I don't think I've seen better acting than Bradley Cooper in Maestro
Yeah.
this year.
Same.
We'll talk more about Maestro in our next episode, which is going to be our best of. Caroline, are there any other movies that you've seen this week?
Yeah, I saw Under the Skin at the Academy Museum this week because I saw Zone of Interest. It was my first Jonathan Glazer movie a few weeks ago, and what a ride! I don't know if I like really understood what was happening the first, like, which I think is a Jonathan Glazer thing. But I forgot also Scarlett Johansson is an amazing actor. We put like a
Yes.
lot of like what she does for choosing roles she should not be playing aside. She's an amazing actor. And this entire movie is deeply unsettling. As she's an alien thrown into Glasgow, Scotland, and picking up men. And I won't say anything else because I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. But it's I'm really thrilled I saw it, and I saw it on a big screen for the first time.
Yeah, that's a masterpiece. I'm going to say that. And Zone of Interest is one of the movies uh, on my I need to see list. And honestly, I don't know if I'll be able to before our top 10 movies. I know it would be up there. If anyone's listening who can get me a copy of Zone of Interest, please do. That and All of Us Strangers are the two I'm really scared I'm not going to be able to see before our show. But yeah, Jonathan Glazer, quite a director. Last night I saw The Iron Claw. Here's the thing about The Iron Claw. Okay, we talked in January, the three of us, and I said it is by far my number one. I'm looking forward to this movie. I am a huge wrestling fan. I'm a nerd. I get it. I'm a huge wrestling fan. I am so familiar with the Von Erich story. I've watched so many of the matches that are perfectly recreated in this movie. I love Sean Durkin. I love every single actor in this movie. When the trailer came out, I said, this is going to be my number one movie of the year. And then everyone's top 10 list started coming out, and Iron Claw was nowhere to be found. And then all of these nominations started coming out, and Iron Claw, I think the only thing it got was a National Board of Review recognition. Other than that, complete silence. And I was walking into this movie thinking, everyone's wrong. This movie's going to be perfect. And you know what? It's good. It's a good movie. I don't think it's going to crack my top 20. In fact, I know it's not.
Wow.
Hmm.
But it is a very good movie, and the wrestling is incredible. Huge shout out to Chavo Guerrero, a wrestler in his own right from a wrestling dynasty, who oversaw all of the wrestling and trained the actors. The wrestling is incredible, and I really hope it starts a trend of wrestling movies. Bruiser Brody and Gino Hernandez are characters in this movie. You see them for a second. Their stories are incredibly sad. Like that, both of them die tragically. Spoiler alert! Not in the movie, in real life. I would love to see those movies too. I think the wrestling's perfect. The acting's good. Where it loses me a little bit is how melodramatic it is. And going back to Maestro, there's a scene where Carrie Mulligan's Felicia finds out she has cancer. Spoiler alert. Press the 30-second button on your podcast listening app right now if you don't want to hear spoilers. But there is a scene where Felicia finds out she has cancer. And that is one of the most powerful, dramatic scenes I have ever seen in a movie. It's so real. It's something you never see in movies, that doctor's office visit, and it's incredible, and I'm thinking about it still. They don't have that in the Iron Claw. There's a lot of death, there's a lot of tragedy, but the death and tragedy in Iron Claw is swelling music and close up on somebody crying. And that's great, and I'm not criticizing the movie for something it's not, but by the fourth time that happens in the movie, I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Iron Claw, good movie. Sorry, Carolyn. Iron Claw, good movie. See the movie, but I get why it's not in people's top lists. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I expected to be crying a lot more, knowing like I am not a big wrestling person, but I did get a takeaway that wrestling and Housewives are very overlappy, and that's a whole other episode we can talk about.
Okay,
But
there are three things I know a lot about: wrestling, musical theater, and Real Housewives. And yes, there's such a coordination between the Real Housewives and wrestling. And you know what? This is its own podcast.
this is a
And
dope
I
podcast.
don't get me. This is a thesis I am writing. Don't get me started on my long dissertation about wrestling and Real Housewives. But yes,
Also, the theme of this podcast is I'm going to get Ethan to watch Real Housewives, maybe 6 episodes in.
and I'm gonna get Ethan to watch wrestling.
But yeah, it's interesting because become very numb to it, and also then reading more. It's not a spoiler for the movie, but they cut out an entire brother who also died. That's not mentioned in the movie. And
Mm.
Sean Durkin said that he felt like at that point you wouldn't believe wouldn't be believable that another brother would have died. And I just thought that was so
But it
interesting,
did.
but it did. And also, I read more about that brother, and I believe his name was Chris. Is that right, Eli?
Yep, Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
Yep, Chris
Okay.
Von Erich.
Yeah,
Right.
he was 5'4", and he wanted to be a wrestler, but had like a myriad of health issues. And it's just, I think for me, I think that reading that was like almost more heartbreaking than some of the other brothers, and I think it felt like a disservice not including him in that.
And it's weird that having said all of this, it is a good movie. Like the
Yeah.
acting's incredible. I would give Holt an Oscar nomination if I had my say, but the problem is it's 2023 and every movie is a
Mm-hmm.
masterpiece this year.
Mm-hmm.
If this movie came out in 2020, where the best movie was, I don't know, Mank, I think it'd be in the top 10 of 2020.
Yeah.
The problem is it came out in a year where it's been such a good movie year that we have a podcast.
Yeah.
We've been saying no to
Yeah.
podcasts
That's right.
for
Yeah.
so long, and now we have one
That's right.
because it is a really good movie year. Um, we're gonna do an award show in a couple weeks, our own version of an award show, and I want one of the categories to be best supporting performance, meaning people who show up for one scene and just kill it. There are two in this movie: Anton or Anton playing Hurley Race, and Aaron Dean Eisenberg playing Ric Flair. They crush it. Oh my god, they're so good.
The Ric Flair scene is so insane.
So good. No, and that's
Yeah.
so accurate. I've seen
Yeah.
that match. I've seen both of the matches with Ric Flair.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And also flowers for my king, Zac Efron. He's really like I will say he did such a great job, and I hope he gets some recognition for it because he's really fought for, I don't know, some level of respect in this industry. I think since Hairspray, High School Musical.
He will get an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor at some point in the next
I
30
hope
years.
so.
Yeah. How do you feel about Lily James
I
in that
love
movie?
her. You know what? Lily James, I don't know what it is. Why hasn't she had the movie that's like launched her? Because she was incredible in Mamma Mia 2, Here We Go Again. She had a great run in Pam and Tommy, although I didn't see it because Pam said to not watch it. And she was Cinderella. Like, I don't know. Why is she not more of a star? Like, why is she not?
I liked her in Yesterday as much as I don't like that
Oh,
movie. I thought she was
I
great in
agree.
Yesterday.
She was really charming in Yesterday.
yeah.
And
Which
she's charming in Iron Claw as like the most aggressive human you've ever seen.
in the most like thankless role. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
where she's
She's been
like,
in, I mean, she was in Baby Driver. She's been in stuff, but
But she's not
I
like,
don't
I'm
know.
pro Lily James.
yeah, I'm not saying
I am too.
I'm not saying I'm not pro. I'm just like, why is she not at the next echelon?
Maybe because her name is a bit too obviously British. Like
Mm,
there's no meat on the bone when it comes to her name. Like if she was Lily James Petunievich, like we'd all
yeah.
know Lily James Petunievich.
You know
Okay,
what? Is
legitimate question. Is she British?
yeah,
I
she's
don't think I
British.
ever put that
Yeah.
together. Oh my
Too
gosh.
British.
Is her name too
Her
There's
close?
a
name is too much like the name from the mom from The Parent Trap.
Well,
Like
she,
get away from it.
is it too close to Kevin James?
Yes, it's somewhere between the mom from Parent Trap and Kevin James,
Yeah.
and those have just you can't be a star.
No.
It's
So your
taken.
argument is Lily James has not had the role of a lifetime because of Kevin James. Got it. Understood.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know, real quick, going back to voices, because when I saw Maestro's a trailer played before for The Bike Riders, which is my most anticipated movie of 2024, and Tom Hardy's voice in it is like a nasally Boston guy, and it is like knowing he's British. It's so funny watching that.
I also, speaking of voices, just anytime I see Austin Butler in anything, I just
Oh.
really hope he truly can't drop the Elvis voice. So it's like in Dune, like we're talking about the spice, and like in his like really bad perfume commercials, like perfume for men.
What?
Like
Oh, mama. Oh,
What?
mama,
yeah,
you need this perfume, mama.
One for the
yeah,
money, two for the worm.
yeah,
I'm a bike rider now.
yeah.
And then Tom Hardy's like, yeah, you're a bike rider.
I know they didn't come to this podcast to listen to us. We're not impressionists. We are.
I have a goal to get better at voices for this
Hey,
podcast.
Ethan, can you
Ooh.
try your Maestro? Can you do Maestro voice again?
Eli, I don't think
That's
that.
perfect. That is a perfect Maestro impression. Thank you. Well, we want to hear from you. Do you agree with our reviews? Do you disagree? Is there a movie you've seen this week? This is an interactive podcast, like I said. If you see a movie you want to talk about or have an idea for a top 10 list you'd like to hear, contact us. You can visit us at ineedtoseethat.com or email us at ineedtoseethatpod@gmail.com. Also, I mentioned we're going to have a contest to win a digital download of Oppenheimer or any movie. Like I said, we're just going to send you a gift card. We're lazy. All you have to do is send us your favorite movie of the year. If you send us your favorite movie of the year, you will be automatically entered to win this digital download. Good luck. New movies in theaters this week include The Iron Claw, American Fiction, the rom-com Anyone But You, the long-delayed Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the animated film Migration, and depending on when you are listening to this, Clooney's The Boy in the Boat, Michael Mann's Ferrari, and one of my favorite movies turned musical turned movies, The Color Purple. By the way, there's another movie turned musical turned movie coming out in January in Mean Girls. Of those, I'd go see The Iron Claw or American Fiction. New movies on streaming include Saltburn on Amazon Prime, Beau is Afraid on Paramount Plus, Maestro and Rebel Moon on Netflix, The Creator on Hulu, and Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Trolls Band Together, and Thanksgiving are all available on video on demand. Of those, I'd watch Maestro, but if you want to be my hero, do a double feature of Beau is Afraid and Saltburn, and then let me know how your life is. Also, if you're just looking for other movies to watch on your TV this holiday season, Mubi has two great films, Passages and The Delinquents. AMC Plus has Birth, Rebirth, and Blackberry. All of these movies are highly recommended by me. No, we don't get paid by these platforms, but we wouldn't say no if you're listening. Anyway, back to the show. So Ethan, Caroline, we're talking holiday movies. Um, Real quick, for the sake of our top 10 lists we made, we are defining holiday movies as Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's. Yes, there are other holidays. We just, for the sake of this list, let's just all be in agreement. Holiday movies are Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's for the sake of this exercise. And you know what? It's completely up to interpretation if you consider a movie a holiday movie, if it features it, if it's about it. Really, you can justify any movie as a holiday movie. Having said that, I have a feeling we're about to get into some fights. So let's kick this off. Caroline, why don't you go first with your number 10?
All right, my number 10, it is Sex in the City, the movie.
Okay, see right there. Can you please? I knew you were gonna do this. What? How is?
Okay, how is this a holiday film, you may ask? All right, great. It has one of the best New Year's scenes that I have ever seen on film. Miranda calls Carrie right before midnight. Carrie has been asleep. This is also, spoiler alert, if you have not finished all of Sex and the City and you have not watched now the first movie, and it came out in 2008. Big has left Carrie right before the altar when she's wearing a giant bird attached to her head. Carrie is now brunette. She's done the makeover. She's alone. And Miranda calls her. She's saying that, you have a family. You're supposed to be with your family on New Year's Eve, but they've all abandoned her. So then we hear the saddest version of Old Lang Syne, and Carrie runs across New York in silk pajamas, the craziest little knitted beanie, to find Miranda at midnight because it's all about friendship. Because, like Charlotte said in season 4, maybe we're each other's soulmates, and the men are just the fun we had along the way. And that is why Sex and the City, the movie, is my number 10.
I love that,
Beautiful.
Caroline. The look of disappointment on Ethan's face was very distracting for me.
Beautiful.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Thank you.
Stunning.
Thank you. The girls are stunning.
Ethan, what is your number 10?
Um, my number 10 is Bad Santa because I think that movie is legitimately hilarious and Billy Bob Thornton is very funny in it. And my family and I always talk about If You Want More Sandwiches and Thurman Merman. And that's just a really funny movie. And I think it holds up.
Have you seen the second one?
No, don't want to. Don't need to.
Frankly, me neither. Maybe that's going to be.
Yeah.
Hey, Caroline.
One of my.
Let's remember
movies to
that.
watch.
Okay.
Let's remember that for Ethan's reluctant reviews in the future.
And I've never seen Bad Santa.
It's good. It's
Yeah.
funny.
I'll see it.
Okay, so Caroline just touched on something. As much of a cinephile as Caroline is, there are some remarkably gaping holes. You know what, Ethan? Let's track this. Let's create a sub-site on our website of movies everyone in the world has seen that Caroline has not seen.
We will. I will say, I don't know if Bad Santa belongs on that list. Like, it's a I think maybe every episode we should really nominate a movie that we encounter. And like, Bad Santa's a nominee, but there's
Okay.
some like
Yeah.
other movies.
I'm sure. Before I get into my number 10, I want to throw something out there. I do not have Die Hard on my list at all. And I do. No, here's the thing. I do
I've
recognize
never
Die Hard as a
seen
Christmas
it.
movie.
That's the
Okay,
movie. You gotta
so
watch
Caroline
it.
has never seen Die Hard. There we go. That's the
I've
movie
seen
that would be
It's a
on our
gaping hole.
I've
website.
seen a musical version of it multiple times.
Absolutely.
Wow. Eli, how many minutes did you have before Caroline mentioned an MCL production?
I had 40 seconds, so once again, you win.
I won.
Okay.
Cool.
Great. Cool.
I did not put Die Hard on my list. I do recognize it as a Christmas movie. I just think at this point, like, when you talk about, is it a Christmas movie, somebody always brings up Die Hard, and I just didn't want to do it. When we do our top 10 action movies, or Bruce Willis movies, or Alan Rickman movies, it will be on there. I just don't have it on my Christmas list. By the way, top 10 Alan Rickman, number 1, Galaxy Quest. Thank you. My number 10 holiday movie is a movie I try to watch at the Music Box Theater in Chicago every New Year's. They sync up the countdown to midnight perfectly with the movie, so when it strikes midnight in the movie, it strikes midnight in real life, and that is The Poseidon Adventure, the original. If you haven't seen that, watch it. Great movie.
I haven't.
I have it. I love that.
Caroline.
All right,
Number
my
9.
number 9, The Preacher's Wife. So some people may prefer Clarence as their Christmas angel, and I prefer Denzel Washington as Dudley. Incredible soundtrack. I Believe in You and Me, I think is maybe one of my favorite movie soundtrack songs of all time. And you get Whitney Houston, which, and I was doing some fun trivia reading about it last night. And it was written with Whitney Houston in mind, but Denzel first considered Julia Roberts and then went back to Whitney, and then she was reluctant to accept it. But after reading the second time, she accepted it, and she was paid 10 million to appear in the film, making her the highest paid Black actress at the time. And it was
That's
directed by
incredible.
Penny Marshall.
Yep. Gotta love Penny Marshall.
Yeah, and I love
That's
it.
a great choice, Caroline.
Thank you.
All of these choices, every time either you or Ethan say a choice, I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that one. I wrote a top 10 immediately, and then throughout the week, I've just been adjusting it. So my top 10 is so different than what it was when we first
Interesting.
talked about doing
That's
a top 10.
fascinating.
Ethan, what's your number 9?
A movie I watched this year, Shop Around the Corner. I had never seen it, and
Mm,
it is a really lovely movie. It's definitely what inspired You Got Mail, and inspired the movie that you all made me watch this past week. Um, and just Jimmy Stewart at the holidays is the best. It's funny that this movie takes place in Hungary. Like everyone has Hungarian names, but not one person even goes for a
mm.
sliver of the accent. But it's a great little Christmas movie.
Great movie. Great movie. And also, You've Got Mail. Great movie. Um, my number 9 is Trading Places.
Mm.
Mm.
It is a gaping hole for Ethan.
And
Ethan's gaping hole
and
is
and
Trading Places.
and Caroline's as well.
Okay, every part of me hopes that my entire top 10 list, both of you are like, I haven't seen that. It'd be great.
Yeah.
There's no
Uh,
way.
Trading Places is a scene where drunk Dan Aykroyd, dressed like Santa Claus, eats salmon out of his Santa Claus beard. And that's what I think of every Christmas. Honestly, that's all I'm going to say about that. Both of you need to see
Incredible.
that movie. It's great.
Okay, I can't wait to watch.
Uh, number 8, Caroline.
All right, well, Ethan really pivoted or hit the, I don't know, it's 7 a.m. in LA. What do we set up? He set me up. Okay, there we go. Sports metaphor. Okay, my 8 is You've Got Mail. And I'm sorry, for me, Christmas canon is Greg Kinnear singing the horn, the horn is so forlorn. I've tried to figure out, is that a real Christmas song? I've tried to figure that out for years.
Okay, yeah, so I did that for a holiday show. I played piano for a holiday show that Caroline and our good friend Laura does every year. And one year I tried to recreate that, so I Googled that, and there was no good answer of if that's a real song.
Yeah.
The clarinet goes diddly 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 dat.
Yeah, perfect. Immaculate Vibes. It goes for many seasons, and I would put it higher for fall, but it still scratches the Christmas itch for me.
Now, can I ask you, Caroline, have you
Yeah,
seen Shop Around the Corner?
I have not, and it's on my list.
You should.
I know.
Yeah, you should see it.
I know. I know.
Number 8 to Ethan.
Lots of gaping holes.
We're committing to that bit.
It's funny how badly I want to cut out me saying gaping holes, but you guys just keep bringing
Nope,
it back.
we forced it in, as one does
Stop.
with gaping holes.
Look. I'm trying to be so professional here.
I know.
I'm doing my best
nice to
Sean
see you.
Fantasy
Wow.
impression.
Eli
And
being
yet,
professional
both of
is
you just
amazing.
keep saying gaping holes. I'm sorry to the listener. I'm trying. Do you
Number
see what I'm working with here? I'm trying.
8. Uh, Also a movie I saw this year, Metropolitan, which is a great New York white bougie Christmas movie, which I'm so sorry is a movie that type of movie that I absolutely like, and I wish I didn't, but I do. It is it is about a bunch of like socialite kids in New York around Christmas time going to debutante dances, and it's definitely in sort of like that Woody Allen category of movie. And I just really liked it. I just liked I liked this movie a lot. I want to go watch this guy's other movies as well. I've never seen like The Last Days of Disco. I've never seen that movie, so I want to go watch what else he's doing. But it's a good New York Christmas movie.
Hmm.
That is a great choice, and Last Days of Disco is a wonderful movie. I love these lists. They are not the lists I expected us to have.
I think that maybe
Um,
the top half might
Yeah.
start to be similar,
okay,
but the bottom half, yeah.
we'll see. My number eight. Okay, I worked at a video store throughout high school, and there was one box I always looked at in the comedy section. And I don't know if this is a movie either of you have seen, and I recognize it's not perfect cinema, but ooh, this is a fun New Year's movie. 200 Cigarettes. Have either of you
No,
ever seen 200 Cigarettes?
I feel like I've seen the
no.
cover, but I never watched
See?
it. Yeah.
Watch it, look at the cast list. It is every actor or performer from the mid to late 90s. I'm not gonna say anything more about it. It's great. Yeah, it's
Okay.
a great
Amazing.
one of my favorite genres of movie is like just what happens in a night movies. Like
I
your
do love
Can't
that.
Hardly
Yeah.
Waits, your 200 Cigarettes. See it. It's great. It's a fun New Year's movie.
Amazing.
Number seven, Caroline.
Okay, Bridget Jones's Diary. It is not Christmas until I see Colin Firth in that reindeer jumper, and he is not attracted to our girl Renee Zellweger wearing carpet, basically. It's, I love everything about it. I love the fight at the end. One of the greatest on camera fights I've ever seen between Hugh and Colin, set to It's Raining Men, directed by Richard Curtis, who I have a feeling is going to be making an appearance on several of our lists again very soon. And along with Hugh and Colin also making an appearance again very soon.
Great.
Great
Yeah.
pick.
Great pick. Ethan, number seven.
Number seven is Carol, which is a movie. If you saw May December and thought, I want that movie, but with less jokes about hot dogs, this is the movie for you. It's by the same director, and it is an absolutely devastating movie that just sort of happens to take place around Christmas. And for me, it was the one where I went, I think Kate Blanchett is the greatest actor working today.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before I saw Tar, which certainly solidified that point of view. Um, yeah, this movie's great. Rooney Mara is great. Go see Carol if you haven't seen Carol. I live in Nashville, and there's an improv group, a queer improv group in Nashville called Carol, and their tagline is sometimes people do improv, and sometimes those people are gay. And I think that that's really funny.
That's unbelievable. Great movie. Hey, is
Yeah.
Tar Kate Blanchett's like legacy movie? I think it is. I
I
think
think
Tar is an
it is.
absolute masterpiece.
Which also, circling back to Maestro, is there a world where Leonard Bernstein mentored Lydia Tarr? Think about it.
Yes, she
She
talked
says
about
it.
it. She talks about
She
how
says
she
it in
like
the movie.
loves Lenny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a prequel to Tar. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. I loved Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I think that a mere 6 or 7 months after the Oscars, we can all agree that, like, yeah, Michelle Yeoh was great, but Kate Blanchett gave the
I
performance of the
mean,
decade so far.
The
my favorite.
problem is Kate Blanchett didn't play Lydia Tarr. Lydia Tarr played Lydia Tarr, and that's
Yes,
why
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
And you know
forgotten.
what? Lydia Tarr is my favorite toxic male, and I can't wait to see more from her in the future.
I'm gonna brighten it up. My number seven is Elf.
Ah.
I mean,
just to
everyone's
just to
seen
jump
Elf.
ahead, my number six is Elf too.
Well, if we're jumping ahead, my number four is Carol. But my number seven
Whoa!
is Elf.
Yeah.
When the movie came out, me and my friends dressed like elves to go see Elf, and just as a joke,
Cute.
we actually bought tickets to Matrix Revolutions, and then snuck into Elf. Um, you're gonna hear more stories of the movies we dressed up as this podcast continues. Spoiler alert: we dressed like a sailboat to see Master and Commander. More of those coming soon. Number seven's Elf. Everyone's seen Elf. It's a classic at this point. Never make a sequel. It's
No.
great. Number
Uh,
six, Caroline.
all right. New classic that I'm adding to my list, The Holdovers. I loved it. I thought it was a perfect film.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm seeing it on Christmas. We're
Oh.
going with Madeline's
What a
family. seeing it on
perfect Christmas movie
Yeah,
to
it's a
see.
perfect
Great
Christmas
Yeah, I'm
movie.
excited.
I want to watch it again before Christmas. I mean, incredible, like immaculate Christmas vibes. We're in New England. We're at a boarding school in the 70s. Paul Giamatti has never been more Paul Giamatti in his life with like the one-liners
Perfect.
are incredible. Dominic Sessa, great first role for him, but truly the standout for me still is Davine Joy Randolph. She is unreal in this movie. And it's going to be really interesting as to discuss this with more Oscars between her and Danielle Brooks about who's going to really edge each other out for supporting actress, I think. But it's just such a beautiful exploration of like grief at Christmas and these like misfits that have to spend that season together. And I could not love it enough. Forget how much I love Alexander Payne as a director, and it's immaculate. Love this movie.
We're absolutely going to be talking about it in our next episode, the top movies of 2023. I do not have Holdovers on my list merely because I forgot to add it to my list.
It's great. Ethan, I can't wait for you to see it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Ethan, what's your number 6?
It's Elf, and my only thing to add to Eli is I watched Fred Claus this year, which is sort of similar, filmed around the same time, high concept Christmas movie, and it's really bad. It's just like a bad movie, which really made me think how much of a miracle Elf is that it is good. Like it has no
Mm-hmm.
right being good, and it is, and that's it's amazing. It's a great movie.
Now, isn't your favorite actor of all time in Fred Claus?
My favorite actor of all time, John Michael Higgins.
No, keep guessing. Your
Vince,
favorite actor is the person you
Vince
still
Vaughn?
defend. No, keep it guessing.
Who else is in Fred Claus? I mean, Giamatti.
There's one other.
Oh, why are we talking about Kevin Spacey? Oh, Caroline, what time did you have Kevin Spacey that Eli was going to bring that
Oh,
up?
I thought that was going to be 30 seconds. Yeah.
Wow, I won 3 for 3.
Ethan, don't genderize the term actor. I was talking about Kathy Bates. My number 6. My. Thank you. Hey, I worked at a movie theater when Fred Claus came out, and it was a Sunday morning. It was a 10 a.m. screening, and this was in Philadelphia, and I was cleaning the aisles, and there was an empty handle of vodka. Somebody at 10 a.m. in Philadelphia went to see Fred Claus and just downed a handle of vodka. I think of that every time I think of that movie. My number 6 is Love Actually.
My number 4.
My number 5.
There you go. So we don't need to say too much about it. That will be on my top 10 Alan Rickman movies. See, Alan Rickman made my list, after all.
Mm-hmm. It's it's Love Actually.
It's Love Actually. Caroline, number 5.
All right, Little Women 2019. Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Greta.
When Bob Odenkirk says, "Ah, oh, my Little Women," and he comes out and we got the trees everywhere. The sisters are so happy he's home. It's Christmas. We love Little Women. And you know what? Again, we don't talk about it enough, but Greta made Amy likable. Now, Amy is famously forever unlikable, but to come out of this movie loving Amy, she should have gotten the Oscar for that because that is a lifelong never liked Amy and then finally loved her in 2019.
I loved this movie a lot, and I saw it with Madeline, my wife, and she like the scene, spoiler alert for a 150-year-old book, when Beth dies. After that, like Madeline had her head on my shoulder and like lifted her head, and my arm was drenched, and she was just sobbing. And I was like, "You knew Beth was gonna die."
Oh.
She's like, "It was so sad." It's amazing. That movie's so good.
I mean, you can't. We all know Beth is gonna die, but it still doesn't mean you're not gonna sob your eyes out.
It rocks.
Yeah.
It's her second best. It's her second best movie. Greta's second best movie. Maybe first best.
Is Lady Bird your number 1?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you about
Barbie's a
Barbie?
strong
I know we're
point.
going to do top 10 in our next one. Where does Barbie sit? I liked Barbie so much. In fact, there are parts that I love. I think Will Ferrell kind of kicks it out of my top 10. I love Will Ferrell. I just didn't the whole storyline just kind of ruined the movie for me.
Yeah, I watched it last night actually because it's on Max, and every time Will Ferrell is on screen, he just sucks up energy in a way that is quite boring.
It's interesting. I meant to bring this up when we were talking about Elf because I saw someone talk about this in an interview, and they said that Elf was a better Barbie. And I've been thinking about that since they talked about it.
Hmm.
Fascinating.
Interesting.
That is an
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
It's a good
So
take.
yeah, and Barbie, I don't know. It's hard to think because there's so many good movies now. The issue is like Barbie came out in July, and we've had 30 movies come out since then, and it's like at six
Barbie's
or
great.
seven. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean the
Barbie's
whole
hilarious.
scene of them tricking the patriarchy in very specific ways where they're like,
oh,
"What's The Godfather about?" That is to me the funniest thing I've
it's
probably ever seen. I don't think I've laughed harder in a movie at
And
those very
Gosling is. I
specific.
mean, if Gosling wins an Oscar, like, he might deserve it. He's so funny in that movie. Just being, he's like,
yeah,
when he breathes on screen, it's funny in
It's
that
so
movie.
good. Yeah.
he's incredible.
Um, Ethan, what's your number five?
Love Actually.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Um, Similar conversation. My number five is Home Alone. What
Mm.
else do we say? My son looks so much like Macaulay Culkin. Both of you
He
have seen my
does.
son.
Oh, he
My son
does.
looks so much like Macaulay Culkin to the point of like the movie is funnier to me.
Yeah.
Um, Also, my favorite thing to do in an improv scene is try to mimic the fake curse words that they made up for the movie Home Alone. You
Mm.
flickin', 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 flickin'. It's so Looney Tunes, and I love it. Home Alone,
Um,
great movie.
Eli, would you ever let George be a child star?
Ooh, I think George is my son. I think he thinks he's a child star already, and
That's enough.
so there's
That's
not
enough.
much of a stretch there. He's also one of the funniest human beings I've ever met, so he will be a star one day.
I love that.
Caroline, what's your number four?
Love Actually.
Oh yeah. What else is there to say?
What else there to say? Love
Bill
Actually.
Nighy's song.
Oh, great. Love Actually is all around.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha
It's
ha.
amazing that it's like almost like a cliche to say Love Actually is a great Christmas movie, and there's like straight up a lot of nudity in it, but it's still like a very
It's funny
well
nudity. It's
respected
like
family
well
Christmas
done.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Um, Ethan, what is your number four?
Eyes Wide Shut. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Eyes Wide Shut
Speaking of
rules.
nudity,
Speaking of
I
gaping
saw this
holes.
movie. That's
come
right.
on.
I saw this movie way too young to think like I think I saw it in high school when I like got into movies for the first time, and that's way too young to see Eyes Wide Shut. It is way better as a 30 something who has lived life a little
Hmm.
bit. This movie is amazing. It's just a full blown nightmare of a movie, and I get why it divorced Tom and Nicole. Like, I don't know how people could survive filming that movie with that Mad Men as the director. And this movie's amazing. Movie's
Ranking
amazing.
Kubrick films would be a lot of fun. That's a future.
Yeah.
That's future content.
Oh God, I have a lot of movies to watch.
And as I mentioned earlier, my number four, Carol.
Mm-hmm.
What a
So
great
good.
movie. What
Mm-hmm.
a great
So good.
movie. Caroline, number three.
Okay. Mine is about to come with a rant, not about the movie, but it's about streaming services. It's the holiday. And my rant is it was streaming until November 30th on Hulu, but they took it off before December 1st. Now,
Terrible.
all of these movies we have discussed, and I've had this rant with several people, multiple people. I've talked about it with my best friend Curry this week. Why isn't this streaming anywhere? All holiday movies should be on every streaming platform every year. One of these movies is inevitably never streaming every year. So why am I paying $3.99 to rent the holiday? This is a film that should be available on every streaming service. I do have the physical DVD, but like it's the principle. So why aren't these all streaming? I hate at the end of this, I hate streaming services.
And if you are a streaming service and you want to sponsor us, Caroline will change her mind
I
immediately.
I absolutely will change my mind for capitalism. Go on.
Isn't that the message of the holiday? You know what I think about a lot? I think about Jude Law's character doing Mr. Napkin
Oh,
Face, or Mr. Napkin Head, or whatever it's
yeah.
called. What a great dad!
Oh,
What a great dad
when he says
character.
I am daddy. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You
so
are
good.
daddy, Jude
And
Law.
he is.
You
He is
are.
And
daddy.
he
I think
is.
that defines daddy.
Ugh.
Ethan, what's your number 3?
Die Hard. It. I watched it last year. It holds up. It's so good.
Now
It's
let's
just a,
argue.
it's
Is that a Christmas movie? I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
boo. Yeah, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen Caroline, you got to go see Die Hard.
Do I?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. And you know what? That is going to be our nomination of movies Caroline should see. Die Hard.
Okay.
My number 3 is Edward Scissorhands.
Mm-hmm.
What a great movie. And remember when Anthony Michael Hall shows up and you're like, oh, he's jacked now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you got Vincent Price. You have Tim Burton pre-CGI just doing his thing. What a great
Yeah.
movie.
I love
What a
the
great
scene
movie.
of them in the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a production company, I think it's in England, I could be wrong, who did an Edward Scissorhands ballet, I believe, or some sort of dance routine. Have you heard about
That
this?
would work.
No.
That
It's
would
live
work.
on stage. It's not a musical adaptation, it's a dance. And it looks incredible, and I want to see that.
Ooh, that'd be amazing.
We're getting to the top now. Caroline, what's your number 2?
Okay. The Family Stone, baby.
Yeah!
I love The Family Stone. It rules. I know I feel like I remember seeing it for the first time in theaters when it came out, and that was like 2005. Not really getting it quite at that time. I think at 14, 15, it's just like you don't get it quite yet. But I now also, because like I've lost my mom, I think that it hits a lot harder for me now. And that scene at the end when they all open up God, that scene every time when they all open up the picture together, and then Diane looks at Rachel McAdams. She's like, "That's you and me, kid." I just love it, and I love when Sarah Jessica finally loses it and starts screaming about how she loves the gays. Sarah Jessica Parker drunk is one of my favorite things. Also, that house. If I could own that house, like
It's a
that is,
nice house.
it's the best house. It's like what I've always imagined. Like I would love to spend Christmas in as an adult. Like that house feels so lived in, and they all feel like they've lived in that house. It's great. I love the Family Stone.
I read a review of Anyone But You this week that said it was a C- movie theater movie, but an A+ airplane movie. And it reminded me that I saw Family Stone on an airplane, and I cried so hard at that movie on
There
Mm-hmm.
an
you go.
airplane.
There you go.
Great movie.
Yeah,
Ethan,
great.
what's your number 2?
Number 2 is A Christmas Story. Big movie for my family. We'd watch it
Mm.
every Christmas together. My and my mom would always say my mom's best friend's uncle was Gene Siskel, and that Christmas Story was always on Gene Siskel's Uncle Gene's top 10 list. And so Uncle Gene loved A Christmas Story, but just big Christmas movie for us. Watched it every year.
Hey, Caroline.
Yeah.
How long have we known Ethan?
Over a decade.
Okay, and he's
It's not
gonna
my
throw
uncle.
out that story
It's
right
not
now.
my uncle. It's
It's
just
still
my
a
mom's
big.
best friend's uncle.
That's. Well, my dad, Roger Ebert, didn't like the movie, and I'm gonna out us, Ethan. Ethan and I both Jewish. When I think of Christmas, I don't think of family or sitting by a fireplace. I think of watching movies, and specifically A Christmas Story. I think of watching it on TBS Channel 22. I say this in the intro of this episode. Just watching it on repeat, and there was one year where I just sat and watched it like 6 times in a row because they were doing a 24-hour marathon, and that's what I think of when I think of Christmas.
I've never
100%.
seen it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So Ethan, no, Die Hard still has to be the
Yeah,
nomination.
Die Hard's the better movie, but wait till next Christmas and see. Like you can
Yeah,
watch
we'll do
Die
this
Hard in
again.
the summer, but
Yeah.
Christmas Story is like a good. It's
Okay.
It's worth it.
Okay.
My number 2 is my father-in-law's favorite movie, White Christmas. If you haven't seen White Christmas, go see White Christmas. It is. We, through a text exchange a couple months ago, did our top 10 movies of all time. I'm sure we're going to do that here. But on my list is Singing in the Rain. And when I think of Singing in the Rain, I also think of White Christmas. It is a great classic musical. The colors, the way it was filmed, beautiful. Great movie.
Mm,
Yeah,
if
it
you
is.
ask me.
yeah. And it's at the Music Box in Chicago every year.
Absolutely. A second shout out to the Music Box.
Hmm.
Sponsor us. Before we get into our number one, Caroline, do you have any mentions or any movies that just missed your top 10 list?
Yeah, Jingle All the Way. You know what?
Ooh.
Incredible Phil Hartman. Rest in peace, my king. We have baby Anakin Skywalker and incredible fight scenes between Sinbad and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was like a classic in my family house growing up. And I think I rewatched it 2 years ago. I was like, actually, it kind of rules. It's a fun time.
What
Love
is
Arnold.
your number one?
All right, my number one should not surprise anyone if you've seen my four favorites on Letterboxd, and it's When Harry Met Sally.
Oh,
There's,
perfect movie.
it's like perfect Nora Ephron. It's given me, and I'm sure many other people, unrealistic expectations for New Year's Eve for a lifetime.
Hmm.
The best, like, like speech at the end, and it made Billy Crystal hot. Everybody, I'm sorry if you don't have a crush on Billy Crystal in this movie, get out of here. That sweater, hot. Him running for Meg Ryan at the end, hot. God, I love that movie. And Meg Ryan's perfect, and Carrie Fisher, the best friend, and Harry, the two of the. I mean, not Harry. Oh yeah, his friend isn't even Harry as well. Yeah, no, he's Harry. I haven't had coffee. It's before 8 a.m. in LA. I love When Harry Met Sally.
For the listener at home, I scheduled this for 9 a.m. Central as a prank on Caroline, and it's
Hmm.
paying off.
Yeah.
There's a great, if you YouTube, there's a behind the scenes clip of them filming that four-way phone call scene, which they had to do so many times because it
Wow.
had
Mm-hmm.
to be like perfectly in sync because they did it
Yeah.
live. Check that out. It's pretty
Ooh, I
incredible.
will.
Ethan, do you have any mentions or movies that just missed out on your
Yeah.
list?
Uh, when Harry Met Sally was an honorable mention, I think it was like I don't for my list. Does this
Mm-hmm.
count as a holiday movie? But like, it's obviously one of the best ever to do what it did. I like those creepy little people in Polar Express. I'm not going
Oh,
to apologize for liking those creepy little people in Polar Express. I'm all in on it.
But not the
Um,
movie, just the creep. Your honorable mention is the
love,
creepy people.
I love the creepy little people. I
where was
love
their
them.
SAG
I
Ensemble
love them.
nomination?
I love the creepy little people.
So what's your number
Excellent.
one?
My number one is It's Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
I,
great.
I just, yeah, I think it's probably certainly on my top 10 all time. Feel like it's just one of those movies that pops up when you need it most. No man is a failure who has friends.
It's amazing how many movies you have said where I go, I didn't think of that movie. Like, how did I not think of It's a Wonderful Life? It's what a great movie that is.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um, it's and the interesting thing is it was like nominated for Oscars and all that stuff, but it wasn't uh, successful and it didn't have its legacy. And it wasn't until the rights ran out and they started running it on TV at Christmas time that it really developed in like the 70s that it started to develop the legacy that it has now.
Before I say my number one, which by the way, I said how often my list changed. My number one was my number one this entire time. Um,
Mm.
I didn't do a top 10, I did a top 20, so I'm going to quickly read my 20 through
Oh,
11.
okay. Can't wait.
Number 20, I didn't put in my top 10 because I have not rewatched it since college and I have no idea if it holds up, and I have a feeling it does not. My number 20 is The Hebrew Hammer. Have either of you
Great.
Mm.
seen The Hebrew Hammer?
Nope.
I remember the
Okay.
trailer.
Uh, I remember it being incredible. I don't know if I can recommend it because I haven't seen it in so many years, and like I said, I don't think it holds up. But I remember liking it. Number 19, Scrooged. Number
Mm.
18 is where I put Christmas Story. Number 17, The Santa Claus. Number 16, I have Happiest Season, um,
Mm.
which is a real fun
Never seen
movie.
Kristen Stewart seem more comfortable playing a human being in a movie
Hmm.
than in that movie.
And playing against Dan Levy, it's just a fun
Just let
movie.
her be gay in all movies. That's all.
Number 15, I have Family Stone. Number 14, I have Eyes Wide Shut. We already talked about both of those movies. Number 13, I have Rare Exports. There's a
Never
movie
saw it.
I
Never heard of that.
recommend.
Okay.
I believe it's Finnish, and it is essentially zombie monster Santa Claus attacks people. See that movie.
Incredible.
Number 12, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Good movie.
Great
Good
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Number 11, I put Rugrats Hanukkah Special. I recognize that shouldn't count, and so I have an alt for number 11. But, Ethan, this movie means a lot to you, or this show means a lot to you, right?
I think it's not as much as it means to me, but as much as it actually taught millennials born in the late 80s, early 90s what Hanukkah was.
Yeah.
It's important to Jewish success in the 21st century. I think.
Yeah.
When people ask me what Hanukkah, like what the story of Hanukkah is, I always have to think, oh, what's that person's name? And I always think Judah Maccabee. And they go, oh, wait, no, it's Judah Maccabee. But it's because, like,
It's
Rugrats taught me better than anybody else has ever taught me. That and Passover.
Yeah, the Passover special is elite.
But my alt for number 11, in case you two were like, that's not a movie, that's a TV show, was the movie Black Christmas, the 1974 horror film that if you haven't seen it, please watch it. Black Christmas is an absolute masterpiece.
Okay.
It's on my watch list.
But my number one on my list, which has been my number one since the beginning, obviously, The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh,
Michael Caine's best performance, an incredible movie, an incredible soundtrack.
Yeah.
Come on, Muppet Christmas Carol.
Rizzo the Rat as himself.
We love him.
So good.
Yeah, it's great. That's a great movie.
It's a great, yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Now it's time for a weekly segment that I am very excited about. Caroline, go ahead and introduce us.
Wonderful. It is Ethan's Reluctant Review Corner. Every week we force Ethan to watch a movie he would never want to watch and make him review it. This week, Eli picked the movie. What did you pick, Eli?
I picked Hanukkah on Rye. This is a real movie. It is a Hallmark Channel original, which IMDb says is about a matchmaker connects two deli owners during Hanukkah, but their new romance gets put to the test when they realize they're competing against each other. This is a real movie. Ethan, what are your thoughts?
So here's how I decided I want to run this segment. I will give an overall perspective, and then the way that I watch these movies is I take notes, numbered notes. I took 59 notes. So you're each going to get to say some numbers, and I will read you the note out of context of what that note was. Overall, this movie's like not good, but it's also not bad. It's kind of sweet. It is very much shop around the corner, you got mail, but for Jewish delis. It takes place on the Lower East Side, aka like probably some town in Vancouver. And it's like I said, it's not good, but it's also not bad. I liked it more than I liked Christmas Switch on Netflix, and that movie had a much bigger budget than this one did. Okay, now that's my overall review. Name some numbers 1 through 59, and I will tell you what my thoughts were.
1.
Klezmer music starts the movie.
Okay, because I watched Air last night. 23.
23. There's another hour of this movie.
35.
35. I'm kind of bored.
Ethan, will you do me a favor? We're gonna create a section of the website. Can you post all
for
of your
my
notes
thoughts.
on that? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
49.
49. The Jewish mother's side bearing is my favorite. Oh, the Jewish mother's sidebarring is my favorite scene.
Amazing. 11.
11. Drinking Manischewitz reference number 1.
All right, how many Manischewitz references are there?
Unfortunately, only one. I sort of assumed there would be more.
Let me ask you, do you think that I mean, it's kind of obvious. They came up with that title and then wrote a movie around that title, right?
100%.
I mean, it's a great
100%.
title. Hanukkah
It
on
is a good
Rye.
title. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a
that's
good title.
kudos to whoever chose the title.
Okay, name one more. Give me one more number.
Uh,
I'll find a good one.
52.
52. The Lotkeys look the same.
What does that mean? Well, that's Ethan's reluctant review.
And next week, I get to pick the movie that Ethan is watching. And I was inspired by Eli's choice to then Google Christian Movie Awards from 2022. And I came across the Plugged In Movie Awards. I think it's a Christian blog. And Ethan, you're going to be watching Father Stew Reborn, starring Mark Wahlberg. The plot being Stuart Long never planned on being a priest. This
Oh
former
my
boxer
God.
turned supermarket butcher only started going to church because he wanted to get closer to a pretty Sunday school teacher. But when the hard drinking Californian has a near death experience after downing several too many, the trajectory of his life changes. And that's not the only surprise coming to Stu either. God is calling him to a hard path indeed. Father Stu Reborn just may be the most unexpected choice to ever land on one of our best Christian movies list. It certainly surprised us. The original R-rated Father Stu included a staggering number of swear words, but star/director Mark Wahlberg, an outspoken Catholic, recut the film and sliced out most of its profanities, giving faith-based audiences a better opportunity to see this powerful story of sin, suffering, and redemption for themselves. But if you care to check this film out, be sure to skip over Father Stu, now on Netflix, and hold out for the recut Father Stu Reborn. Otherwise, you might get far more language than you bargained for.
And you know me, I don't like language.
I know, you hate it.
The text exchange between Caroline and I, brainstorming what movie, is my favorite thing ever. And the fact that we landed on Father Stu Reborn.
Oh my God.
I'm very excited to hear that
100
review.
Yeah.
It's 124 minutes long.
Yeah.
You want to know what my hourly rate is at my job? That's 2 full hours.
What happened from Mark Wahlberg going from Marky Mark to this?
Find out, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're listening at home and you want to recommend a movie for Ethan to watch, once again, email us at ineedtoseethatpod@gmail.com or contact us at ineedtoseethat.com. And everybody, that is our show. We did it. Episode 1 is in the books. We strived for 30 minutes and we blew past that. We have some great shows coming out in the future, including our top 10 movies of 2023, the I Need to See That award show, and then we have a whole bunch of Golden Globe shows, Oscar shows, 2024 preview shows, and more. Click that subscribe button, click that like button. I can't believe I just said click that subscribe button, click that like button. What have I become?
Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah.
What have I become? Right, leave a review. Don't forget to email us or contact us. Send us your favorite movie. One of you will win a free digital download. In parentheses, a gift card. But that's it. That's our show. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next time. How do I end these?
I love the creepy little people.